Leveraging doesn't come normal for most people because no one teaches them how to leverage. You know, so right now we're going through a bit of a fad, and there's a lot of people teaching others to write books. But really the hard work starts when the book arrives, not actually the writing process. And that, for some people, is probably a little bit of a challenging kind of a thought. Because we think, oh, well, the book's here now, it'll all kind of happen magically. And of course it doesn't. Right. You know, you've got to kind of do it.
We really hope you enjoy this, this amusing and very informative episode for Christmas. And we want to give you a heads up of something very special happening in 2018.
Yes, in 2018, we're going to be giving you the opportunity to join with us, to be part of what we're creating here with the Business Playroom and be part of our Kickstarter campaigns.
Yeah, being part of increasing the amount of entrepreneurs that are successful.
Yeah. And, you know, we want to bring to you the very, very best that the industry has to offer in terms of people who are succeeding and who are really rock stars at what they're doing. So, yeah, we'd love you to join us and be part of our Kickstarter in 2018.
Watch this space. Ready? Ready. Okay. It's that time of year. Welcome to the Business Playroom. That's right, it's Christmas. And as a little elf should, he brings gifts.
Thank you.
Here we are.
You don't escape the Christmas
You know
cheer.
how this works. Here we go. I'd like to introduce, we haven't seen much of him, but this is Andrew Griffiths. He does all the stuff that I have no idea how it works.
And I really enjoy doing it too.
And he's very, very good. This is Stevie. She is the glue. She's like the butter in a sandwich. She keeps us together and again does all the stuff that I have no idea how it works.
Yes, thanks. Well
Awesome. The question here is, Andrew, can you take me seriously while we ask you questions?
Of course, I'm a plum pudding, you're a little elf. Man, I've been in far weirder situations than this, believe me.
All right. So as I say in the entertainment business, I feel like I've said this before, let's get this show on the road. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what we're going to learn today.
Okay, so in this episode we're talking about books. So predominantly my little book thing is I'm Australia's #1 small business author. I've got 13 books that I'll admit to that are sold in 65 countries around the world. I've actually written 20 books, but some you just can't admit to. And these days I take great joy actually in teaching other people how to write books. So I've trained I've got 500 authors that I've taught to write their first book, which is very, very cool as well. So it's something that I am deeply, deeply passionate about. One thing I wouldn't mind starting with, if we can, is to encourage people to write books though, and to talk a bit about, just very briefly, I think people are a bit daunted by the concept of it. But what started me, I wrote a book about marketing. I was running a marketing company and I wrote a really simple book called 101 Ways to Market Your Business. And the whole idea of it was, we're talking in an earlier episode about, you know, using leveraging and to create productivity tools and all the rest of it. For me, my first book was a productivity tool. Saved me time because I was answering the same questions all day long with the same kind of clients. So I literally, you know, and I wanted to help people, put it all into a book, and that's really what formed the basis of my first book in a very kind of nutshell-ish way. It was really, really successful, led to all the other books, but it was really, really successful because it was a simple book. It solved problems, it told great stories, and it just really made it easy for people to go and market their business. So anyone who's perhaps thinking about writing a book, you don't have to write a book that's about splitting the atom. You don't have to write a book about curing cancer. You don't have to write a book about some really complicated thing. You've got to write a book about what it is you do, which is what your book is about.
Absolutely.
You know, Renee, it's what your book is about, Liz. You know, you've written great books about exactly what you do. So for the aspiring authors, you know, don't try and get too clever is my advice when it comes to writing the book, just to get that out there. Because some people probably go, oh, it's too hard to write a book. It's not, if you teach people to do what you do.
The thing is, when you've got a whole lifetime of experiences and you're, how do you not get into overwhelm with where you start and then go, well, where do I go? Because it all comes up, you're going, oh, I could include that and that and that and that.
We kind of say, or I say when I'm teaching people, you get a bit of a feeling there's a now book and a then book that you need to write, and the now book is a book that you can write now which you're going to use to leverage what it is you're doing in your business. So for Renee to write her book was obviously a very clever, it's the type of thing that you can utilise to get customers and to get clients. And we want to write a book in our space as a commercial tool. I write to make money. Okay, I don't want to be Ernest Hemingway. I don't want to have 100 cats and live in Florida and be an alcoholic. You know what I mean? For me, I love books. I'm really passionate about them. Don't get me wrong, but I write to make money. Yeah. So for me, they have always been a marketing tool. They've always been something I can utilise to grow my business. I've never ever lost sight in that side of things. It's just now I make a lot of my revenue from teaching others to write books in a strange way, how that's kind of evolved. So what was the question?
That was pretty much it. Is how do you almost like put through the sieve what goes into the I've used the sieve.
How do you decide what goes in the book and what doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a process for that, but
I think again, for a lot of people though, that they try to put too much into their first book, and they try to put every single bit of knowledge they've got. You know, and I think the ideal kind of book size these days is about 30 to 40,000 words, about the length of your book there. I think Renée.
mine's only 18,000.
So okay, even a little bit more than that, 30,000.
No.
But,
What for? Why
people
take
are doing
30,000
short
words to write something you can do in 18?
I've just released one that's 100,000.
You're talking to Renée. You're an exception because you would have cut it down and cut it down and cut it down and cut it down.
I am all about it.
Yeah, and yours, to be fair, yours. I really love your book, but I read it very fast.
Yeah, but it's for a very specific purpose, which works wonderfully well. So there's a thing that I call thud value, and the thud value that comes with a book is that, and that's what makes a book feel that there's a bit of depth and there's a bit of reality about it. And I tell you, it's like the argument: can I just do an ebook? And the answer is no, you can't just do an ebook. Because I can say to Renée, hey, I'm going to email you my ebook. It'll be there. What's your email address? It'll come from Google, Yahoo. When you get it, do something, or I can give you this, and that is where the magic happens in the book writing space. When you hand someone your physical book, those of us that have written books, we've seen that look in prospective clients' eyes. You know, and we know what it's like. You know, when you hand someone your book, they look at you differently, and you are an authority. But only if the book has substance, only if it's well produced, well written, and you know the topic is clever and it's on target with them. So without going down a rabbit hole about book production and the reasoning, I just think it's important that people know it's doable, but also have an understanding about the purpose in there. So book writing changed my world.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. I mean, my first book, I was running a little marketing company in Cairns where I live, like a billion other marketing companies. No formal business qualifications, no formal academic qualifications. I just wrote a book about helping people to market themselves. The questions I was answering every day, I put in a book. You know, 150, 200,000 books later, that one book alone, you know, has been extraordinarily successful because it was great on track for the market. So I really want to encourage people that if you've got solutions that you figured out, your book and your information is really valuable to others, because there's a lot of imposter syndrome we've got to get over, and who am I to write a book and all of that
I was
stuff.
going to ask you about that, AG. What happens if you're too scared to write the book?
You just got to man up and stop being a baby. Yeah. You know, pretty much that's my advice there. But in reality, that does stop people.
Yes.
It does.
You know, and like even when I went to write I had my idea for my book, I went to a lot of friends who had marketing companies and said to them, you know, I've got an idea for a book, what do you reckon? You know, and they said, Andrew, you know, you're a nice bloke, but who are you to write a book? You know, and it's like, and of course I completely ignored them, wrote the book, published it and all the rest of it, and sent them a copy. And they all came back to me and said the same thing, you know what, Andrew, I could have written that book. And I said, yeah, but you didn't. And sometimes it's my whole point here is to not think that you have to write an overly complicated book. Most of the time you've got to share exactly what it is that we do. And that's the goal in the book writing space, what you figured out. Because no one has figured out what you figured out, Liz, about writing, about your own experiences, about your take on words. You know, that's what the value of it is.
And that is the massive difference between a book that was written by someone who learned something from reading other books and someone who has had life lessons, because you can colour your own words and you colour this book completely different when it comes from your experiences, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's what people want. You know, we want to hear your ahas, not someone else's ahas recycled.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and that's why your book is so good, Renée, is because it's very unique. There's not a lot of books on that topic, and it's from you. It's what you figured out. It's you all the way through.
Yes.
You know, it isn't a patched together piece
I'm
of
not
everyone
paying
else.
him to say this, by the way.
This episode is being sponsored by Renée Hasseldine.
we really hope that you enjoy this Christmas special, and we just want to give you a little bit of a heads up of something special we're going to be doing in 2018.
Yes, we are going to be giving you the opportunity to be part of the Business Playroom community in a bigger way, to be co-producers with us and to collaborate with us to bring you season 2.
I mean, our vision with the Business Playroom is to provide information and help entrepreneurs increase that success rate of being able to be a successful entrepreneur and have a successful business.
Yeah, we're really passionate about you guys actually making it in your business. You know, when you started your business, you have this dream, you have this fantasy, and 60% of businesses fail in the first 3 years. We want to make sure that you are one of the people who makes it, and we want to actually increase the number of people who are succeeding.
So watch the space for 2018, and please get in behind us with Kickstarter.
Yeah, we'd love to see you join us. All right, so Andrew Griffiths, share with us, what is your process for leveraging your book? I've got my book, now what do?
Rather than a process, for me, it's a philosophy. Okay? So when I first got my books published by a big publishing company, and I thought, that on the day after, the Ferrari would arrive.
Yes.
And I'm waiting, rang them, did you get the address right for the Ferrari? And of course, they just laughed and said, Andrew, this is when the hard work starts. Your book has come out. You need to leverage it. And I went, yeah, but where's the Ferrari? What's this leverage word that you're talking about? And I said, it's up to you to promote it. It's up to you to go out there and push it and drive it. So what I've realised, and the thing that I push with all of my poor author students, is the fact, and I tell them, I work to leverage my books every single day, of every single week, of every single month, of every single year, of every single decade. Okay, so I've been writing books for 20 years and I leverage my books every single day of all of that. So what does that mean? That means that I'm always looking for opportunities. I never leave home without a book. I live 5 doors down from my favourite coffee shop in Cairns. If I go down there to have a cup of coffee, I always take a book with me and I'll find someone to give it to. Whether it be, someone will come and chat to you, whatever it might be. I've given hundreds of books to Uber drivers, taxi drivers. Why on earth would you do that? Why would you give these books away to these random lunatics in the street? Well, I don't really give them away to random lunatics, just random lunatic Uber drivers. But because there's a generosity of spirit for starters, I think what you put out, you get back. Nice. But I look at every book as a seed. And what I'm trying to do, I don't want to make $2.50 selling a book. That's of no benefit to me in my business whatsoever. My objective is to turn every book into a $10,000 keynote speaking job or a coaching client. This is the best vessel to do that, okay? And people get caught up in trying to sell lots of books. You know what, it's not about making money out of the books, because it's really hard to make money out of selling books in Australia. I'm a bit of an anomaly and happened to come along at a good time. There were a lack of Australian business writers, all the rest of it. So for me, I put my book in the hand of someone sitting next to me on an aeroplane. The number of times I get 3 years later, 4 years later, I'm going to Albury next week, Wodonga, because I sat next to a guy on a plane 5 years ago and gave him a copy of the Big Book of Small Business. And I've got $20,000 worth of speaking jobs in Albury next week, simply because I gave a guy a book, sitting next to the plane. I was at the Hilton checking in Sydney. This was last year. 5 o'clock in the morning, the guy in front of me was talking on the phone in the queue, and he had a really unusual accent. And he hung up his phone. And I just tapped him on the shoulder, because I'm one of those irritating people, and said, mate, you got an unusual accent, whereabouts are you from? It's from South America. We started chatting. I had a copy of one of my books in my bag. I gave it to him. And 3 weeks later, I got an email asking could I do a road show around Australia for Motorola to go and see all of their top retailers. Wow. It was like a 2 or 3 month project. For me, that's what leveraging it first part is. You have your books everywhere, and you are not a tight ass with your book. You don't go, oh, well, I'm giving that out, it's costing me $10 to do that. Are you book worthy? I just give them out. You know what I mean? And I look at that, and it has come back to me many times. And the worst thing that's happened from it is I've helped someone some way. You've got to have a generous nature if you want to be successful as an author. Okay, it's first thing. Second thing for me is it's about opportunity. So I look for opportunities everywhere. As an example, say every hotel I stay at, I've got a book on customer service, 101 ways to really satisfy your customers. Every hotel I stay at, I leave a copy for the general manager. And I always say, hey, you did exceed my expectations, or you didn't, and you need me to come and do some training. You know what I mean? So I make a very, and I've got
Shameless.
training. Yeah, you talk about shameless. You got nothing. You got nothing on me.
He's the king of shameless.
I'm the king. Thank you, the king of shameless. I think I like that title.
Own it.
I look at that and go, you know, that's an opportunity for me, you know. So again, the same thing, and you'll be amazed how much training I've done for hotels because I've left a book there for the general manager. You know, simple little thing, cost me nothing to do that. Another little exercise that I do all the time, you scan through the newspapers. So when I'm waiting in the clubs or the wherever, and I have a look through and notice, Virgin's got a new CEO. Okay, great. I'll send them a copy of every one of my books. So I'd really love to help you grow the small business market on your planes. You know what I mean? So pretty impressive if 13 books turn up on a new CEO's desk. And that's a little bit of an overkill. Not everyone's got that.
But I can see what separates you and me and you and Renee is that you're actually constantly looking for opportunities it gives you a reason to send a letter to somebody.
Absolutely.
Hey, and here's my book, and by the way, I think I can improve this, or do you know what I mean?
I can help you, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll go one step further. I normally send them 2 books. And the reason I send them 2 books is because every CEO of an organisation has a friend, you know, and every CEO has a second in charge. And same with the media. So talk about leveraging. If I want to go on Sunrise, I don't send Koshi a copy of the book because he's not going to read it. What I do is I send his producer 2 copies of the book. I go online, find out who the producer is, or watch at the end of the show, look out for the credits to see who the producer is, and I send them 2 copies of my book. One for them, and they'll give another one to someone else who they know.
Yes.
And that whole thing, I got a full page in the Sunday Mail in Queensland, which has a huge distribution, or it did when it came out, because I sent 2 books to a Murdoch newspaper and News Limited, and the editor that I sent it to didn't do a story, but his buddy was the editor of the Sunday Mail, and I got a full page out of doing that.
This also gives you a reason. I had an executive producer I used to work for once upon a time, and he taught me to look for a reason to call somebody.
Exactly.
So instead of just ringing up and going, hey, have you got business for me? It was, hey, I've got this to show you, or I've got this new thing. Hey, we've got this new product. Do you want to come in and have a look? For you, what I'm seeing is it's like your book gives you a reason to plant the seed, and then if you wanted to actually make that call a week or 2 weeks later and go, hey, did you get my book?
Yeah.
Do you follow up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, that looking for those opportunities is a state of mind. So for me, whenever I'm out and about, so once a week I send out a pile of books. So when I come out on the road I'm on the road for a couple of weeks at the moment, so I'll go back with a whole pile of leads. So bits of newspapers, business cards, little notes, you know, there's a new CEO at the Commonwealth Bank now that the other one's just quit. You know, that's an opportunity for me. You know, and I look at that and go, bang, you know, I'm constantly going back with an envelope full of book ideas. Again, pull them out, I'll either put them together or I'll get one of my trainees or someone who's put them all together, package them really, really well, personally sign them. I have my own cards done up as well, which is a beautiful little card that says, you know, your life, it's just one chapter, not the entire book, you know, something inspirational with a photo of me on it and something like that. So to give out the books, when they receive it, it's actually beautifully packaged, personalised, customised. Second book is just signed because I don't know who they're going to give it to, but I utilise that. So we have an opportunity in the media. We have, if I read something in a newspaper like the Australian and it's the top 100 CEOs, you know, they do those kind of features. Every one of those CEOs is going to get 2 copies of my books in the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And the difference is, again, for many authors, they look at all of that as cost. They don't look at that as an investment. Now, out of that 100, I might only get 1 job, right? But it might be, and odds on it will probably be a job which is going to be $150,000 worth of work because it'll be bigger. I did a whole pile of work for St George Bank, $140,000 worth of work or something because of doing that exact exercise that I'm talking about. You know, you gotta be. If you're going to be an author and be successful these days, you've got to hustle. And the word that we utilise a lot in business these days.
Well, it's that time of year again.
It's Christmas.
And New Year's. Those times when we make New Year's resolutions and we don't hold them.
Well, I don't know about you, but actually, I've actually started doing themes instead of resolutions, and I find that's better to keep to. Have you done that before?
No, what does that even mean?
Well, in 2017, my theme was vitality, and I've been really working towards that through the whole year. It's just been like the word that I've focused on, and I found that much more effective than setting myself a resolution, which, you know, by the end of January is gone and forgotten.
This sounds like a whole new episode.
It does sound like a whole new episode.
But it's Christmas, and we've got something a little bit special for you. We decided to make a Christmas special.
We have Andrew Griffiths on the panel, sharing with us how to use a book to create leverage in your business.
Love it. And there's something a little bit special, and someone might be wearing something a little bit out there. And we also have our special panelist, Elizabeth Campbell.
Yeah. So we thank you for being with us in 2017. We hope you enjoy our Christmas special, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So I think, as you said, you know, what you can see with me is this whole concept of leveraging is really about looking for opportunities. Those are those direct ones, let alone, you know, looking at other opportunities amongst our networks. So I have a thing called an author network mind map. So, and Liz, you know, you're familiar with that side of it. So it's me in the middle. And then I have around the outside of it, everyone in my network. So it's my past clients, any one of my past speaking clients, like projects like CBS out of America, Inc. You know, and I have anyone who's in my sphere of influence. And there might be 100 now, it's probably 500 kind of leads around there. Whenever I'm doing a book launch or a product launch, I develop a marketing strategy for each one of those particular kind of organisations or groups, whether it's 10,000 people on my database or whatever it is. I do a strategy for each one. I don't just kind of go, here's my book. Because that's ineffective, doesn't work. I've made friends with the head of Booktopia, Tony Nash. You know, is he a good friend to have or not as an author?
So what's this called? The author something mind map?
Author mind map.
Yeah.
Author mind map, okay.
So, and it's really just, because if I said to you, who's in your sphere of influence? Most of us would go, well, my mum, you know, my Facebook groups,
yes.
You know, and maybe, I don't know, your email database or whatever it is. But we forget about everyone else who's in our sphere. Who could we partner with? Who could we, you know, who could we do a reciprocating kind of a promotion with? For me, past speaking clients are a great opportunity. They're already a fan. You know, they're the ones I end up selling a whole pile of books for. At the moment, I'm just going through and doing, with my latest book, going back to all my past speaking clients saying, I got a new book out. Do you want to buy some for your organisation? Thousands of orders coming in, simply because thousands of books worth of orders, because I'm sending them an email saying, hey, I'm already tried and tested and proven. You know, so again, that's a whole other world of the hustle that comes from leveraging.
It's actually amazing. It's been a little bit of a insight for me to how proactive you actually are around this. And I feel like there is a lot of information here for us to process, and this is a time to actually wrap it, because my brain is already
a bit overwhelmed with it, yeah.
Overwhelmed. It's amazing stuff. Like, this is, I've never understood the reason to write a book. Obviously, for obvious reasons, because I did co-authored, and then that was it.
Sure.
And to actually understand the reason behind it, the why, what to do with it, is the most important part. Yeah, I thought the hard part was at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not. It's afterwards, what you do with that, the leveraging. Elizabeth, I'm going to ask you, what was your key little takeaway for our viewers?
Oh my God. So many. It was actually the envelope of leads and ideas to follow up on when you get home. Something I haven't thought about. So newspaper clippings, the business cards, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I used to do that as a producer. Constantly, like newspapers had a different, it was just constantly cutting things out. Oh, this CEO's gone to this company now. As you said before, that would be me, that would be like, I've got an excuse to call, introduce myself.
And just making that your little job that you do when you're away, that you might not have like time to do when you're in the office and whatever else.
It's a phone call. You can do that that's the kind of thing you can do in a taxi. Going to the airport.
5 minute increment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice.
A 5 minute.
5 minute increment. One of my productivity tools that I've developed for my own self is to make better use of 5 minute increments. So when I'm planning my day, I have a whole pile of little things that will take 5 minutes or less. So rather than spending 5 minutes checking my social media, I'll pick 1 or 2 of the little 5 minute jobs. I might have 20 or 30 of those in a day. but it just, you know, by writing them all down, and I know that I've got half an hour, I'll get through like 10 of my little 5-minute jobs or whatever I can do. And it just makes me feel more productive, you know, getting that done.
That's my takeaway.
That's great.
I've just changed that 5-minute increments. Has changed
always
because
change.
I'm constantly in airports, I'm constantly in
Yeah.
taxis and doing stuff where we talked about this, that I feel as dead space.
Yep.
And I'd like to use it more effectively, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
Renee.
Well, you and I have talked about this on a previous occasion, and I just want to report back to you and say I have already started implementing some of this stuff.
Right.
And hopefully our audience will relate to this, because you've been giving lots of examples of the big corporates, you know, how you connect with those big CEOs. But for some of us, that's not our ideal client. So that's not our target audience.
Sure.
So for me, what I've started doing is finding people who also serve the same audience, who serve my niche. So, you know, for example, Andrew Eggelton, people who attend his workshops, you know, they're perfect clients for me. So when he goes off to do a national tour, he goes with a box of my books,
Yeah, which is
and
very
he
cool.
gives those away.
And then I use those to get people to do things that they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean it like that. What I mean is,
Oh yes, he does.
is who's going to be first up to work? Who's going to be first to do a Facebook Live?
Yeah.
And if it's a shyish group, I'll go and first person gets a book.
Yes.
Normally I'll say who wants a book first, and then I'll tell them what they have to do.
And that's probably really good advice, though, isn't it? It is to say, I mean, yes, there's some big things you do. I think we can all do those, you know. But again, some of the easiest things close to home are doing a great partnership like that. Just even one great partnership is a really great place to start.
Yeah, and that's been massive, because the number of people who've tagged me in social media who've had a photo of my book and them like, look what I won, or, you know, I'm reading this book on the beach, or whatever it is. It's like, I'd never heard of these people before, and you know, there's access to those people just by, you know, giving my book to somebody else who's so that's,
Andrew's got credibility, so the book has credibility if they've never heard of you.
Yeah.
I think another little part to that is also the fact that people give up on leveraging too fast. You know what I mean? They do a few little things and they stop. You know, it didn't really work. The book didn't really work for me. And my argument is always, well, what did you do for it? You know, and the reality is because they try a few small things like that don't work. You know, probably my greatest skill is persistence more than anything else. You know, and you do, like most things in life, as we know, you reach that tipping point where it does really start to work. That's probably the advice that I would say to people. If you're going to do it, you've got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I came up with there is no bad book, there's just a bad person behind it. It reminded me of an acting saying, there is no bad dialogue or script, there's just bad actors.
Right.
I actually disagree with that. But it's the same thing, isn't it?
It is. It is, and it's just a different way of kind of looking at it. But there is no doubt at all, those people have been really successful in writing books and leveraging books. It is certainly transformational. And you know, something I did when I realised that, I know we're on a very short time, but very briefly, when I realised that I had to leverage it, the first thing I did was went out and I studied everyone else who'd sold a whole pile of books, the Tony Robbins, the Louise Hayes, the Zig Ziglars, and I interviewed them all, those who would let me get near them, stalked them all, and I deconstructed what they did to be successful. And the bottom line was they leveraged the crap out of it. And basically that's how I learned how to leverage, you know, like getting Zig Ziglar talking out the end of the phone saying, every single day you've got to leverage those books. And that means every day. You've got to have a box of books in the back of your car. You've got to have a box of books, you know, under your arm. You've got to hit the streets and you've got to do it. I sold books at the market. Set at my local market for the first year.
Andrew, I think you could probably sell bloody books everywhere, but it sounds. You know what I mean?
Underwater while he's scuba diving.
That's it.
They would have passed him.
This has been another amazing day. Great guests. Thank you, Elizabeth Campbell, for flying in for this. Are you on tour at the moment?
Yes,
Too?
I am.
Thank you very much for coming and sharing
Thanks
and
for
playing and being a part of the Christmas special.
Oh, yes.
Andrew Griffiths, thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
passing on your amazing information.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And I was going to say a book of knowledge, that it wasn't meant to come out that way. And Renée Hasseldine, thanks for playing over the last couple of days. And where, you know what I like about this team is when I get stuck, one of the other team here be able to push through. It's that different skill sets, isn't it? It's quite obvious. This is the 2017 Christmas special. We wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
With your family and whoever you're spending that day with, and a very happy and safe New Year's. This is the Business Playroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's actually JOMO. JOMO is my theme for 2018.
Who are we missing?
There are a few people missing from yesterday.
Yeah, who's that?
Francesca Moy,
Francesca Moy.
let me tell you. Mark
That's
Boness,
it. Mark Burness, yes.
Andrew Morello.
Andrew Morello.
That was it. Yep.
So from all of us, hey, why don't we just do a little Merry Christmas?
All right, let's do that.
Okay, I'm going to start it off because I'm the singer in here.